Good morning. Thank you for coming. I want to thank you to the organizers to inviting me already for fourth time for the SQA Days. I feel already like at home. This is first time for me in the SQA Days Moscow, but I have been in St. Petersburg and Minsk. Today we are going to talk about some boring technical stuff, and I know it's a bit hard to talk a lot of technical stuff without live coding, and I have more than 8 years experience in the automation, and I'm trying to automate everything, but not the stuff that are not that they don't need automation. So this is the schedule today. Like generally, who is using Selenium here? Yeah, nice. Who is running them on continuous integration? Who is running them in a single thread? Oh, who is running on a parallel? Cool. So today I will just start from the place that you know what is a Selenium, what is doing, so that if you have any question regarding that one, so later we can discuss about like basic and the starter level stuff. But today we will imagine that we already have stuff, just we need to speed it up, run in parallel. So for that reason we'll talk about the Selenium Grid, we'll talk about what is actually Docker and Selenium, how to configure the Selenium Grid in the Docker containers, how we can run them in parallel. Also, I will show you some simple stuff, how make it fast to spin up the Docker containers with the Docker by using a Docker Compose. Do you know what is Docker Compose? Docker? Okay. So and we will also, so if we create something in one day, we'll need to maintain it. Yes, debugging stuff and etc. We'll talk about how you can debug your test in that's running inside the Docker container. And also we'll talk about a lot about Selenium. Do you know about Selenium? So actually, I will talk it later when we start to talk about Selenium. And you know about SOSLab, browser stack, testbot. So we'll talk about that one also. So in the end, we'll try to keep time for the questions. And if again we will not reach the question part, I'm here, and I'm mostly for if you have like urgent question, just interrupt me, because the best questions are living in the middle of the talk and they are getting forgotten in the end of the talk. Okay, so just feel free to interrupt me whenever you want. So actually, why we need to run the test parallel? So there's some reasons that I just took out from the information stuff. The parallel runs, like the single runs are too slow. Yes, I was talking to the people. They said that our tests are running for 8 hours, for 24 hours or something like that. But we need a fast feedback. Yes, on any change. So parallel running is giving us a possibility to run the test in a set of the configurations, which means like we could have different type of the combination of the OS and the browser version and stuff like that, and we can run them parallel to save the time. And the most important reason is save the time, reduce the run time. And when we reduce the time, we are saving money. It's not exactly our money, it's company money, but if we'll save that, we'll get the benefits, I guess. This will allow us to test like different combination of the OS and the browser, which will give us like better coverage. And it will give us a fast feedback, which is the most important thing for the automation. So we do automation to get the fast feedback instead of getting on a regression cycle in the end of the, like near to the release, but get the fast feedback. And of course, less manual test. It doesn't mean that later the manual test will not be important for us. Manual test is the most important thing, and then coming the automation. So, but there are some disadvantages of the Selenium Grid. one of these, like the Selenium Grid performance is too low. When you are running large amount of the test, you will need a lot of nodes. If you don't know what is the node, we are going to talk about like letters. Setting up the parallel run itself requires a lot of time and resources. Starting from the writing test, your test should be independent, they shouldn't be belongs to each other, there shouldn't be test dependencies, so every test should be able to live without other tests. So if you have any connection between the tests, you should remove all of them. So all the tests should be independent. So you will be able to run them parallel, and they can run in the parallel threads. In case of the large amount of tests, for example, I was working with a suite that had like 6,000 tests, and we were running during the 45 minutes. In this kind of the cases, you will need to split your suite to the small parts and then run them in the different machines. And this one is creating another issue. So if you are running them in a divided parts, later it's really hard to collect all the information from the runners and analyze them and create the reports. And also, as in the Selenium Grid, the code is executed from one machine and the tests are executed in a different machine where the browser lives. It's making for us hard to upload and download the files because the resources are in one machine and you want to upload in a browser in another machine. So I will try to suggest the solutions for all of these disadvantages, but if you have any other problems that you faced, we can talk about it again later. So what is the Selenium Grid? Did you ever use the Selenium Grid? So you run the parallel, you have to use it, yeah? There is like a bit of long test, you don't need to read it, it's just for you when you have a slides to read it when you want. And in every slide there are more information you can find, you will find this link later when I will share the information. You want to go deep in this corner, you always will find like more documentation about the stuff that I'm talking about. But generally, Selenium Grid is a smart proxy server. It gets the tests, it sends to the nodes, and then receives the answer from it. Generally, this action is on the responsibility of the hub. This is our hub, and these ones are the nodes. So the hubs gets the request what to do. It actually wrote them in a JSON format and sent to the registered nodes, and then nodes run, like the nodes are the place where the browser are living. So it's running on the browser and then coming the feedback back. So I don't want to give a lot of tough information about this technical stuff to not make you confused, but generally for the beginning we just can remember that when we say the Selenium Grid, we think about the hub and the nodes. And the nodes can be different OS, different browser and stuff. Yep. So to be more specific, with a more clear case, we have a hub which is accept the request to run the test, takes the instruction from the client and executes them remotely on the nodes, and also manage the threads. So which one going where? So there is a queue. And the node is the place where the browser lives. Node is registering itself in the grid, and then receives the request from the hub and executes it. In this case, we have one Selenium hub. It's in every grid it's one, and we have 3 nodes of the Chrome browser and the 3 nodes of the Firefox browsers. So when we say Docker Selenium, with that it means, you know, the Docker, like it's a containers, and inside the container you can spin up anything you want. So when we say the container, it means exactly the same, but the hubs lives in one container and every node lives in another container. Like actually in every container there can be several sessions, but in this case I'm just presenting the one that every container, in a very simple way, every container has one browser inside. So the official Selenium committee who is writing the Selenium WebDriver, they introduced this like 5 images, which is public in the Docker registry hub, so you can find them. It's Selenium hub, so when you want to have a hub, you just spin it up. It's Firefox image, it's Chrome image, and also we have 2 images for debugging, Firefox, and so this is the ones that has a port, VNC port, we can connect and see what's happening inside. This is all that we have from the Selenium community, like official images. Later we'll talk about more about Selenium because it's easy to use and maintain, and I will talk about the story. So, Selenium. Actually, Selenium is an open source project. It's created by the guys from Zalando. Maybe you know it was like the most successful startup from Germany. It is something like Amazon, but the European version, so it's an online shop. And the technical guys from Zalando, they took the idea of running them in parallel and created Selenium, which is combination of the name, the Zalando and the Selenium, yes? Actually what they did, they make the Selenium Grid smarter. So it takes, you don't need to register the nodes. The nodes will automatically register itself and then destroy themselves after the test run. And it will be easier to spin it up and spin it down. So what is Selenium? It's dynamic on-demand Selenium Grid. They are using exactly the same official images. They are based on Docker Selenium, and it's simple to run and the test. And if you ask the question why we need to use the Selenium, it's because like itself, like Selenium Grid itself is too hard to maintain, and this Selenium allows us to have a disposable and a flexible auto-scaling environment for the running the Selenium tests. Is it more or less clear what I'm talking? No. Good. So in Selenium there is some additional features that there is no in the Selenium Grid. And one is the test status and the steps directly in the video you can see. So just clicking the button and you see how your test is running inside the Docker. Visually you can see. And it has basic authentication, like grid protection and stuff for your security stuff. And here, the third one, you can mount the volume across the containers, which will solve one of the disadvantages that we cannot upload and download. So you say that this volume in this container, you can mount to another volume in another container, and they will have a like clear visibility to each other. So when you want to upload or download, it will upload them from that folder and will download in that folder. Okay, so here they solved one of the disadvantages that we're talking about. So basically, this is the diagram of the Selenium Grid, which is basically the same. It has just this smart proxies, and we'll talk about what is a smart proxy in the middle of this diagram doing. So the rest is the same, like there is Selenium test, there is a hub, and there is a node. Just we have here the Docker Selenium proxy, and then some source lab proxy, or could be like browser. It depends what you are using. So from the information that previously I gave you, you already know that the official grid supports Chrome and the Firefox, which are running in Linux environment. So what if we run a Windows? Like most of the users are Windows. So in this case, it's coming the importance of the smarter proxy and like this proxy that is living here. So when we request to Selenium that I want to run this test on the Windows Chrome. In this case, if you have configured the source lab or like cloud running servers. When you request something that our hub will not be create for you, which means it's not Chrome and Firefox in the Linux environment, it's redirect it to the machines that you use. This is cost efficient because the one that we are creating in our servers, it's cheaper than to send it to the source lab. So we are saying we are creating the environment, and we say if you want to run on the environment that we can create, we will do. But if we cannot, if you have a service on the source lab, just concurrent runs, we will send to the source lab. How to build? So but till here, the most theoretical stuff that I wanted to share with you is done. Right now, we'll try to go more technical, so how you can do it. There's in the end, I will show also links with you, so how you can gather the information. But here is the basic one, so you can start with it and then expand. And as I say already, there is the links for the Selenium, for example, here, because we are talking about that. So there is two images that you need to pull. It's these two images, you just pull them. And then there is one command that is running for you, spinning up the hub and then nodes and with everything. And if you will ask me how it looks like, it's just super easy. Just pull this one, and I mean this one I had in my computer, so it's a bit faster. You know that the Docker downloading only the layers that are missing, so that's one of the cool stuff that is do. And then the second one, so I don't want to wait until this video will end because it's just downloading. And then in the end, when you have these two Dockers in your local machine, you just run the long command that I show you, and it will spin up on your local host in 444 port all the necessary stuff to run the grid. And you remember I was talking about the Docker Compose file. This is the beginning of the Docker Compose because it's too long to show you in the slides and it's not so much informative, but there is a link, you can find the full documentation, and also you can find the Docker file in the GitHub repository that I'm going to share with you in the end. So you collect all the configurations here and save this file in your repository. And instead of that pulling the images, then running that long command, you just, in this case, you just run docker compose app force create, and it creates for you everything. You just all the configurations you are keeping inside that docker compose file. So when you finish this, you go to your browser, go to localhost 444, and here we are. We have a grid. And we are ready to run a test on it. It's really super easy when you have the basic configuration and everything. So, and how are we gonna run tests? Yes, okay, we have that Docker stuff, everything is built locally and everything is ready, but how we need to run? In any case, you know that you are creating the browser, it's like Chrome driver, Firefox, right? If you run in any time you are writing a test, you have the place when you are saying, like, for example, in Java, Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver, yes? In this case, the difference, we are creating the remote web driver. And we are giving which one. So, desired capability Chrome, desired capability Firefox. By default, it's routing to Linux, so I'm not giving the OS version. So, but later we'll see how we can also give that configuration. So in this case, we are creating the remote web driver that lives in localhost 444. So when we create this driver, it will register the node in Selenium and will open the browser there inside the Docker. And right now, let's see, this is the nodes. You are running your command that runs the Selenium tests. And just pay attention in these icons, so you will see that they are becoming gray, which means the browser is open inside the node. And then with the live preview, this is offered only by Selenium. You can see how your browsers are opened inside the Docker container. And later we'll talk about this a bit more, but yeah, the tests are running. I have some example of the tests. It's in the GitHub, I will share with you. There is one environment deployed in the Heroku, and the test, there is a 6 tests that's running on that environment, so you can just play with that repository. Yeah, and that's all. The 6 tests are run in a second. So, I was also talking about Vsc debugging stuff, yes? So what if, I don't know why, but it works in my local machine, but it's not, it's all the tests are failing inside the like Selenium Docker. So in this case, when you need to debug something, just doing that regular debugging stuff by putting that debug point. And we see that it's open already, yes? Okay, we are inside the debugging session, and here. You click the interactive view VNC. It opens for you the browser, inside your browser. So you can do interactive stuff and find out what doesn't work and what works. Isn't it cool? I really like this stuff. So, let's talk about the sauce labs. Actually, the sauce lab, you have to pay for the sauce lab. This is one of the disadvantages. The sauce lab was the one who was ready to give me some tests, like 10 sessions, to create this presentation for free. So they give me the stuff, and I took the responsibility to show all the examples in the sauce lab. So sauce lab is the place where the browsers are living and the hub. When you have the sauce lab runs, you don't need to configure a lot of stuff that we did before. But if you want to have a cost-efficient running test, you could combine the sauce lab with the Selenium, which is when there is a possibility to run in a local grid, it will run in a local. There is no possibility, it will send to the sauce lab. So sauce lab is, again, there is a link for the sauce lab. All the information is copied from the sauce lab information, so I didn't invent anything in this slide. So sauce lab runs the test in the real browsers in the cloud. So there is a possibility to run in the real browsers also. If you ever use Appium, if you are automating the mobile stuff, it also provides Appium machines, real and the emulators, whenever you want. You can write your test in all languages that you can find out, specify the platform configuration, and then spend less time to spin up and maintain the environment. So whenever we want to have the local one, we need to spin up the grid and the nodes, register the nodes. In this case, everything is registered there. You just need to send the test and get the result. So it saves a lot of time also. So how it actually works? You have your test scripts here, you have your test application here, and you have a sauce lab cloud here, which has the different of the combination. They have about more than like 400 something combination of the browser and the OS, so you can select. And you run the test with the secure connection, it sends to the clouds. It runs there and sends you back all the like result information, and that's all. So in this case, when you want to run on the sauce lab or browser stack or test plot, so you say that I want to run, for example, on the Edge browser. I want to run on a Windows 10, and I want the Edge browser be this version. You define everything you want, and then create the remote driver. In the previous example, there was a local host, yes? In this example, it's your username, your access key, and then the sauce lab link. And you pass the capabilities. And how the test runs against the sauce labs. It's again, just you are using the piece of the code that I previously showed you. And when all the browsers are open, you can open your source lab, you can go your dashboard and then automated test. You will see that the 6 parallel runs are there. And what is exciting to see here also, you just click the test, it's open the video playing how the test is running inside the browser, like inside the source lab machines. You see? Again, there is a video on the Edge, so we are running also on the Edge browser. Yep. So, what's the benefit of combining these two solutions, Selenium and the source lab? When you combine these two solutions, as I already mentioned, if there is a possibility to create a browser in your local grid, which is basically free, it could be in some machine, under desk machine that you have in your offices, it can run there. But if you need to run the test with a specific, for example, Windows, with the Edge browser, so in that case, it automatically will send it to the source lab servers. So, yeah, this is the same that I was talking about. It's just automatically redirects to the cloud, this combination. So, how it works? Yeah. We just created environment variables for the source lab username and source lab access key and the URL. We just do from the terminal export, all the stuff there. And then the same, running the command, just make sure that you pass the variable that source lab is enabled through. And then voila, we have the same grid. We have our nodes that is created in our local grid, and we have the source lab, which already was configured. And in source lab, right now my account has 10 concurrent runs, so they give me 10 possible browsers to run. So I have 10 stations here. So in this case, when you do just a Chrome, which is like Linux environment Chrome, and then run the tests on the Chrome, you can see that like 6 Chrome are open. As we have a possibility to create that environment, it will go directly to our local. You see that the busy ones, so it's our local one, so you can see the live environment, like live running and stuff. Yep. So the magic actually happening when we are requesting the browser that our environment cannot create, actually our help will not be able to create. For example, again, Chrome, but on the Windows 7. Yes? And in this case, we are giving the same environment because our environment knows if it will not be able to create the browser node, it will send it to source lab. So it has all the source lab information. So we are requesting Chrome on the Windows. Again, running the tests. And as we don't have in our local environment, it will send directly to source lab. And you will see here that the source lab's browsers will get busy now. 6 of them are busy. So browser was opened in the source lab, and you will go to the source lab dashboard. You will see that the tests are running there, and you see that there is 10 sessions, and the 6 of them are busy. So this combination actually will allow you to save a bit more time and the resources so to not create all that machines in your local environment. So overall in this presentation we used Selenium-Webdriver. Of course, we are using the Selenium OS. We use the Selenium Grid. We use the source lab and the Docker. I hope that even if you didn't have any information about one of these tools or like services during this presentation, you get some. And also there is the code example that I created for you, and I also used the same examples when I was recording the videos, and it lives in a GitHub. Actually, after Microsoft bought the GitHub, I also share the same code in the GitLab, so you can find that it's also on the GitLab. And yeah, I will show some demo also. This is not the finish, but if you have any question even after the conference, you are just feel free to send it any question or any suggestion via email, Twitter, or the LinkedIn. Oh, sorry, LinkedIn is not working here, yes? Like the funny one, when I was in St. Petersburg, I was sharing my presentation in LinkedIn. So I was sharing before arriving here. All my presentations are living there. And then was very happily was saying the audience, oh, you can find all the slides on the SlideShare. And then after several minutes in the lobby, someone came, but we cannot use the SlideShare. And that forced me actually to publish all the presentations also in my speaker desk, which is another platform for sharing, so the Russian market can use it. So I actually prepared something to show you in a real browser. I mean, the best way of showing you this stuff would be the live coding. But if you are really into the topic, we can do it during these 2 days. All the documentation, this is the Selenium-Webdriver Documentation, and this is the official documentation of the Selenium Grid. Like, I just collect all the information from this website and from my previous experience, but if you need more information, you want to get into the details, this is the sources that you can use. Yeah. This is the Selenium, which I was talking about, and they have very, very nice documentation. Whenever it's in your mind, you can just search in the documentation, and they are very responsive, the creators of that. So in the Selenium HQ Slack, there is a Slack for the Selenium, and there are a lot of interesting discussion happening there. And inside that Slack, there is a channel for the Selenium, and if you have any question, you just ping them, and they are like very fast, like responsive. During the several hours, they are just answering to your question. And like the most common one is a Docker, but if your company is using Kubernetes in the Google Clouds, this tool also provides you ability to deploy all the grid stuff and the node stuff in the Kubernetes. Yeah. This is the source lab where I was. Let me. Yeah, this is all my experiments that I did previously. It keeps the history, and even the runs. You can take a look post-script what was happening during this run and stuff. And one of the useful stuff is the platform configuration. So when you have your idea to run on the Windows or something, and you need to have the code, what of the options you need to pass to the capabilities, you just go here. It didn't load well, so yeah. As I said, that there is also open possibility, but we select the Selenium, we select PC, we select the operation system, like let's say Windows 10. We say the version of the browser, if it will load. Okay, for example, Edge, the last version, and that's all. And you have here the code generated for your case in the different languages. You just copy these capabilities and you pass to your. Is it clear? Is it? Yeah.
Advanced configuration.
Advanced configuration when you want to pass the screen resolution, or if you don't need to capture the video and like make it slowly, I don't need the video, and you can reconfigure it here, and when you do it will add the configuration here. And also you can select some resolution if you are supporting that specific resolution, and it will pass the resolution to the grid also. Screen resolution. I will pass also this link. This is MVC to-do list, which is created by the Spring guys to show how the Spring application, just I reuse it to run the test on this small app to have more visibility. And the codes are here. The link is in the slides. I guess the organizers will share all the slides after the conference. I have small documentation here, and this is the example that I used. So if you want to run locally and play with it, just go there, and there are 2-3 commands. Just run the server locally and play with it. And this is the commands that you can run this command, and all the tests will run locally. And also the same example lives also in the GitLab. In case of Russia will have a problem with the Microsoft services, you can go here. So basically done, and I'm waiting for your questions. Feel free to ask your question in Russian.
А можете еще раз переключиться на слайды, где вот Selenium привязывался? Хорошо. Переключитесь, пожалуйста, на слайды, где Selenium запускался с Source Labs.
Okay. It should.
Команда докера как раз.
This one?
Да, то есть получается вот поддержка Source Labs, она изначально уже из коробки Selenium идет, ничего не надо, да?
No. You don't need anything. Just you pass your username, access key, and URL. Yeah. No, nothing. And you are passing this variable to say that the Source Lab service should be on. Actually, the Source Lab has a free trial if you want to use it, just understand how it works and stuff. It gives 2 concurrent run for half an hour, so you can use several emails registering and getting trial until you will be able to understand how it works. And if your company is really interested into it, you just contact to the support and say that we are just evaluating the tool. If they can provide you some more servers for 3 days, most probably they will do. Yeah, question?
Добрый день, спасибо за доклад. Вопрос следующий. Прежде чем использовать средства Source Lab, вы сравнивали скорость выполнения ваших тестов, если бы вы запускали на Windows виртуальные машины в своей инфраструктуре против Source Lab'овских удаленных виртуальных машин?
I didn't do that Windows stuff in my Mac because it's too complicated to spin up all the virtual machine and stuff. But most probably I would say that setuping stuff will be really hard in a local environment, that Windows stuff, and then up the grid and stuff there. And it's not working well, at least in my opinion, the Docker with the Windows stuff. But running the test could be 10% faster or so. I compared only the same Linux environment from running on my local hub and then sending to the Source Lab. There was, for the 6 tests, there was a 10 seconds difference in my local environment if your machine is ready for that. In that case, there was a bit of winning time, but we should understand that the Source Lab are keeping secure cloud somewhere far from your place, and it's using the internet to send and get back, which means that there should be a bit of losing time, but generally you are winning in the end because you don't need the DevOps, you don't need to care about your servers, you don't need to maintain your server, so it's just easy send, run, and then get. Yeah.
У нас время есть еще на один вопрос.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is about solenoid. Do you know this instrument, and maybe can you say why Selenium is more preferred than solenoid?
Solenoid is the one that is created on the Selenium base, and you're writing tests with the Solenoid, or is that providing the servers?
As I know, Selenoid
providing a
allows to run tests in several browsers as Selenium.
Generally, I'm trying to use the pure stuff For example, when I'm using Selenium, I'm using just Selenium-Webdriver in a Java or Python or whenever on Ruby. And I don't like the facade that people creating and making it easy, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's really good stuff for the beginners and for the companies that are startups and they need to build something faster, and then later we'll think about what to do. I don't know exactly the details of the service that you are talking about. Why, if you will ask the question why you use that source lab to present, the source lab is the one which is supported by the official committers, and also Selenium. The Selenium also like supported from the official committee, like the Simon Luke who is working on the writing the Selenium WebDriver. So I used the most famous ones. I know that there is also browser stack which is providing exactly the same that I presented, but it's a bit cheaper. But I don't have any information. I know about it. I know how to run, but it's another one is India-based, and the source lab is the US-based company. So it's just that whenever if you're testing some public stuff, you don't care about like strong security. You can just compromise some security stuff and win some money. But if you are testing something which is private data that contains private stuff, like you should care about security always, like in the high level.
Thank you.
I will take a look on that tool later and we can talk about that if I can find any difference.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Just a small addition.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Selenoid is, they said that Selenoid is working quicker than Selenium.
Than Selenium?
Yep.
Could be. Let's. I will check. Now I'm interested into
Just
it.
information.
Yeah, I know that Selenium has very big images, like around the 1 gigabyte something. It's because of the stuff that they created, that the video recording stuff inside so they try to have the same with the source lab services, like cloud services. So you have everything that you can use the source lab and browser stack, you're in local. So which makes, so there is a video recorder and there is a VNC inside. So when you use the official ones, like the Selenium official images, you don't have that recording stuff. And if you want to debug and see your browser, you need to separately download the VNC, install everything, then use the port and the IP and the connect. So there's a lot of huge stuff. So in the Selenium, they are just downloading everything at once and then allowing you to use. Of course, if it's like big image, you will lose some time when you are like spinning up everything. But with comparison of running test runtime, I have no idea, but now I'm curious. I will take a look. Thank you.
Давайте поблагодарим нашего докладчика.
Okay, this is for the question.
Нужно выбрать лучший вопрос.
Yep. For the best question, I mean, there wasn't enough question. I guess you will come, but I would like to give it to you. Yeah, welcome. But again, if I don't have that thing, or I have one still, but if you have any question, you just ping me whenever you want, wherever you want, so I'm around. Okay, thank you very much.